Calxiyn and Hunter here. If you guys enjoy this, you guys should become patrons over on Patreon. You guys can see our reaction. Basically, right now, I'm working on it on Patreon, so you guys can watch it early if you guys want to, and all of that sort of stuff. So, before we get into it, I kind of want to talk about, like, some things that, I guess, like, from this week that we got right. Some things that, like, we couldn't possibly predict, no matter how much we tried. So first, we did talk about the lovers theory between Salem and Ozpin. We didn't really like it, but we did talk about it, right? It was one of those theories where we were like, this is most likely probably one of the things that are gonna happen, but we didn't like it. We didn't think it would happen like this.
What we said was that we thought it would be like a lover's, like, Salem would be a woman scorned
and she kind of is, but she's not.
But she's not. It was about their distrust and
all this stuff.
But yeah,
but they were together, so the lovers thing.
They were together, but
right.
It was like, no, he died and she just wanted her back.
I'm pretty sad about my father theory, but, like, I also like what they did with this, so I'll let it go. But we also talked about the lovers thing. We
talked about it, but we weren't really
We weren't
close.
For it. Like,
we were in the neighborhood, but we weren't at the house.
Like, we weren't for it. Like, we didn't really want it, necessarily. That's what I'm trying to say. So there was that. In a video I made yesterday, I talked about the fact that I thought that I said two things. So first, that Ozpin somehow caused humanity to, like, lose all of their magic or, like, be wiped out or something. And obviously that's not exactly what happened. Like, it was because of Ozpin, but it wasn't because of Ozpin, you know what I mean? But then I also said that I thought that the gods took all the magic that used to be available for humans and put orb. She had access to choice, destruction, creation, whatever, because there's 4 floating orbs, there's 4 relics. So that's the other idea that I sort of had yesterday, is that, like, all of the magic that they used to give humans, that humans used to have access to, would be put into the relics with stipulations, and all of that stuff, which is kind of what happens here. I mean, they don't specify. They don't specify, but we can interpret.
I understand you have a desperate need to be right because of
but that's what happened.
Daddy issues and
what are you talking
problems
about?
In the past.
No.
But
I'm just saying that's kind of what happened, and so I'm sort of interested in talking about that more. The other thing that I said yesterday in the video, because I kind of said, no matter what happens, no matter what theory is right, I think the overarching theme is going to be 2 things. So playing God, taking away people's choices, and some sort of imbalance disrupting the world, which is basically, again, it is what seems to have transpired here. So even though all of our ideas weren't correct, some of my favorite ideas didn't come true. Those are the things that we sort of hit on the mark this week. So yeah, let's get into the rest of it now.
Or maybe hit next to the mark.
Hit next to the mark. I mean, we don't need to necessarily be right on an entire theory. It just
hit
needs to be
in the general direction of the mark.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, if I was that mark, man, I'd be scared.
Yeah, maybe.
Because, boy, that was close. Anyways, continue.
I mean, it's the concepts that we sort of latched onto, I guess, that did happen in this episode. But there was a lot that I did not expect. There's a lot that there's no imagining or whatever. So let's just start at the beginning. So Ozpin back then was Ozma, which is a character in Wizard of Oz, as you guys know, who is supposed to be the true ruler of Oz, basically. And so that kind of fits in well with the narrative here, because, like, that was the old world, this is the new world, the wizard
this all took place in a prehistory, which I thought was very interesting, a place of magic.
So, basically, Salem's father locks her in a tower with, like, some weird robot bodyguard. Not robot, but they look like Grim-possessed. If you pause on the screen when you look at them, they sort of look like the same thing that kept Weiss, like, doing her thing, you know what I mean? And so, like, he rescues her, but then they save each other, and, like, all of that stuff, and it's cute and, like, romancy, and, like, I'm here for it. And so, Ozma didn't care about wanting to save Salem so he could fuck her, because that's what all the other guys cared about, but he did it because he had a pure heart for justice and courage and all that stuff.
And apparently there were giant monsters and knight armors that
but why didn't she just break out herself?
It's a good point. Maybe she couldn't.
I don't know. She
might have tried.
We don't really know what's going on with that. But, like, Salem is the Wicked Witch of the West, and basically what happens in, like, books like Wicked is that the father's just sort of an asshole and, like, doesn't love his daughter and tries to keep her locked up in the house so, like, nobody sees her because she's green. Obviously, Salem looks pretty fine and normal, so the Wicked thing doesn't necessarily fit here, so I have no idea what the fuck they kept her in there for.
Wicked has failed you, Cal. What else?
I know! Wicked has failed me! That's what I'm saying. I'm so sad. Okay. And they both find reasons to live in each other, which is so cute, because remember that's what they said, like, Ozpin used to, like, go around the world just, like, risking his life for courage and justice, but now he finds a reason to live in this world. That's what they say, and they can go on adventures together, and it's cute. But then, some sort of mysterious fucking plague happens, and he just gets sick.
Cold.
Okay, but here's my thing.
He got the sniffles and died.
I have some problems, okay? My first problem is if there's supposed to be a balance between life and death, like, can the Dark God just create illness, like, whenever the fuck he wants? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how is that balanced? If the Dark God can just send out a plague to kill everyone. Like, that's not balanced, is it?
Well,
unless the Light God can make, like, something of equal value, I guess, like, maybe more babies are born that year, like, I don't know, like, it just seems weird to be like, we must keep the balance, but also, I'll spread this plague and make sure people die.
Well, that naturally occurs in animals, including humans.
What do you mean, plagues or flu?
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously plagues, but it's like populations
get
large and then populations buckle, and they enlarge, and it's a cycle, and it's a death, and it's a life.
Well then,
so
I'm saying that what is the equal value? Is birth? Like, more people would be born?
Is like population expansion?
Okay. Yeah.
Also, like,
because that's fair, but I'm saying, what if people die and then nobody was born?
Yeah,
and so that would be
he's
equal.
just one person. It's not like he got this. He just got a sickness.
No, the sickness swept through. She said, or they said something similar to that.
Through him? Did it? I mean, maybe it could have been a plague, or it could have just been him. But yeah,
I don't think it was just him. Not
but
by
that's
what they
the
said.
idea that population was getting big, so it buckled, such as life. How this is humanity is currently.
But they don't seem to be fighting against
quite
the
large.
Grimm. Though.
Yeah, it's gonna, well, Grimm existed.
Grimm existed with the Dark God, but nobody's fighting against them.
Well,
but I guess everyone has magic. You just like boop, and like everyone's fine,
they're
right?
also like running around saving people. He's probably saving them from the Grimm.
Yeah, sure.
We just don't see it.
I guess.
We can assume.
Maybe.
Because we have an assumption.
But I'm saying everybody has magic, so maybe the Grimm back then weren't like a big problem anyway, right? Because you could just like boop, and then it's like dead, right? And so the God of Light looks like a faunus, and people were like, where did the faunus come from? But I'm guessing when humanity came back from dust, because it's like humans born from dust, and they were, because everybody got Thanos, right? We'll talk about that later. But
who knows, man? They probably, I would have loved to have seen Infinity War with Carrie and Miles, because they probably like, ooh, I can.
But I'll make an assumption, because we have an assumption muscle, apparently, Hunter, that the faunus...
The joke was that you don't have an assumption muscle.
But I do!
At least
I know, but I do make.
Do make
some. Anyway, what I'm saying is the assumption that I'm making is that when humanity grew back, they also grew back in the image of the past gods, and he has antlers. So
all we
that's
know is that
what I'm
faunus
saying.
pop up, and maybe we're gonna learn more about that later.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like we learned enough. Like, they popped up with the rest of humanity. And they're in the image of the old god, so it just makes sense. So the Light God's like, I can't disturb the natural balance of things, and like, that was a theory I basically sort of made yesterday, is that like, the overarching theme of whatever this episode would be was disrupting the natural balance, and Ozpin would disrupt the natural balance, and it wasn't Ozpin, but it was still Ozpin as a thing, like, that had them talk about that. Does that make sense? Like, it wasn't like Ozpin was seeking out to disrupt the natural balance. It was the fact of Ozpin existing or not existing that then disrupted the natural balance. Does that make any sense? Okay. It was also our idea about Ozpin playing God, which was right, but he was doing it with Salem later, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, I mean, it was always kind of Salem who was playing God more than anyone else.
But, okay, so I'm gonna talk about that later, but I have a problem, okay? Because for humanity to get better, someone would have to guide them. So Salem's attitude of them needing a ruler isn't exactly wrong. Her idea of being gods of the New World is, but I feel like they just could have compromised somewhere. Does that make sense? And we'll talk about that later, because I don't want to get too much into it now. Yeah. But I feel like a lot of people were like, well, Salem was like, she's unredeemable, like, she was causing too many,
I don't feel bad for Salem. I just feel bad for Salem.
Yeah, and I feel like people are taking it the wrong way, especially, like, after she falls into the cesspool, everyone's like, well, she's pure evil now, she's pure destruction, but, like, she had a family, like, she had kids, she obviously loved people, and so even though she had a desire to destruct, her only desire wasn't destruction, like, she also had desires to fuck Ozpin, obviously. You know what I mean? And so even if that was one of her desires that she got from falling into the cesspool, she wasn't pure destruction or pure evil. She wanted to make a paradise, right? That's what she says with Ozpin. She wants to make a paradise, and then she also, you know, fucks around and has kids and, like, is capable of love. So, like, that's where I disagree, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. The gods are literally petty as shit. Like, they bring Ozpin back and forth, like, over and over and over again. That was kind of hilarious in a very terrible way.
The first fucked up scene was the Ozpin scene, when the Ozpin...
No, the first fucked up scene...
No, Glinda. Ozpin...
No.
Salem...
The first fucked up scene was when she went to the Dark God and he twisted himself out of that hole. Up. Yeah. And so she goes to the Dark God and he's cool with it, right? And Salem may be a little manipulative, but I kind of get that. Like, you don't want to mention the older god's brother because that caused some family drama. So people are like, well, she lied. She was trying to manipulate the god. And I'm like, she was trying to manipulate a little bit, but she didn't lie.
She did the same thing later on. Well, she didn't lie, but she didn't tell the full truth. And she did the same thing later on with Ozpin. So she clearly didn't learn her lesson.
No. But I also think that sometimes there's a reason why you shouldn't tell the full truth. Like, if you know that something's going to bring up a touchy family matter, obviously you don't want to say that.
Yeah, but also,
you know what
the
I mean?
more you don't, like... It was.
I don't see why knowing that the Dark God, or that the Light God said no would have been valuable information. Like, would the Dark God just be like, oh, well, my brother said no, because then that's the brother trying to control him. So he would have been like, well, my brother's like a fucking, like, idiot, okay? I'll bring it back for you, right? That probably just would have caused, like, a more stilted attitude. But then, obviously, the Dark God doesn't like that Salem went to the other brother first. What if Salem went to the Dark God first, though? Then he would have just done it, and would have everything be okay? Or would the Light God come in and be like, what the fuck are you doing? And then he'd be like, well, she came to me first, so fuck you, right? Like, or whatever. But yeah, they would have fought either way. Like, I feel like whoever she went to first, they would have ended up fighting, right?
Something like that.
I think that's fair. Because he says, let the faith in the Dark God be rewarded, basically. But she didn't have faith in him. She went to him as a last resort, so that's kind of, yikes. But what if she went to him first, though? I still bet they would have thought, but I'm still like, what if she went to him first? Like, imagine if that's one of her regrets, like, for her, like, the rest of her life. She was just like, damn it, I should have went to see the God of Darkness. Like, what the fuck?
I also always assumed that Salem had control of the Grimm because of the Seer Grimm and stuff like that, but, like...
I think she just has magic.
She just has magic and
just
is
like
able
Ozpin.
to...
Does that mean Ozpin can also control the Grimm and he just doesn't?
Or maybe Salem, because she went into the Brothers Grimm.
Well, I'm going to talk about that more later, because she doesn't have the veins or any of that.
Yeah, the veins come in later.
All of that came later. And so that's my other argument for saying that she wasn't pure evil or pure destruction, even when she went into the pool. And I feel like we should do a video on that, because, like, she didn't have the Grimmar veins. She still had, like, more or less proper eyeballs. Like, you know what I mean? She still had
fucking sentence. You know? More or less, she had proper eyeballs.
And so I feel like that, yes, the pool gave her a desire to destroy things, but that desire only festered over time. That desire could have been quelled, just like any desire that people have, right? And so I want to do a bigger theory on that, but we'll talk about that. Salem went there with the idea that she wanted to control the gods. I get why the Light God kind of said that, because she's trying to kind of manipulate or kind of control, like, the situation, but, like, at the same time, it's like, Mom said no, go ask Dad, but don't tell Dad that you asked Mom, right? That's what it is, and so I'm like, you know, she didn't lie, she just left it out. And here's my thing, right? Salem is, like, young, she's sheltered, like, she's been trapped by her father in a fucking tower, and the first man that, like, shows her any love and, like, shows her any, like, kindness fucking dies. And it doesn't have to be a man, it could have been anyone, like, it could have been a woman that came to save her, it doesn't matter. It's the first person that cared about her and that she cared about just fucking died. Like, that's not fair. And, like, I get that people are like, well, life's not fair, Cal, and I get that, but at the same time, like,
she's
grieving, and then you're punishing her, and, like, making her immortal. Like, no, that's not the way to go about it, you know what I mean?
But you also...
I get that she did something wrong, but I feel like that the gods were pretty petty and have giant egos, and that they may have done it in a bad way, like, to make her live forever and to make her be alone. Like, that's just how you continue somebody's anger and, like, fester somebody's hate and resentment. Like, that's no way to go about it. And she's just a grieving young woman, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna say she doesn't know any better, but I'm just saying, like, no, you don't do that. That's not the way.
Like, hey, like, I'm upset. I know you're upset.
Well, why didn't they try to console her? Why didn't they try to do... Like, I get teaching her a lesson.
Like, I'm sorry, I do have whatever...
But he yelled at her, though. He was like...
the second time, the first time...
No, but he yelled at her the first time, and he was like, go away, like, it will not be done. Let him rest, right? She says, let him rest. The first first time, right?
Well, he says let him rest, but he was also like, I understand your...
I don't think he did a good job.
No, he did.
I don't think he did a good job. I don't think that's an adequate job.
I understand that you have feelings about God, but...
I'm just saying, I don't think he did a good job. And I don't think, he says she was selfish and she was arrogant. I don't think it's selfish to bring back somebody that you care about.
Yes, it is!
Why?
It is
What if Ozpin didn't want to die either? Then it's not selfish for him, is it?
It is absolutely probably selfish to destroy the natural order if God is like, hey, I know literally everything, don't fucking do this.
I'm saying to bring Ozpin back specifically, I don't think that's selfish. Because I'm sure Ozpin wanted to be alive. If Ozpin didn't want to live and she brought him back, then yeah, that's selfish, because that's just for her. I'm sure Ozpin didn't want to just die, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was doing it for him. She was doing it because he didn't deserve to have his life cut short.
But remember, Ozpin afterward was like, hey, man, I just want to die and be with Salem.
Yeah, but he could have lived and be with Salem.
But that's what he wanted.
Yeah, because he thought that Salem would die if he knew.
Yeah, I know, because it's the natural order of things that Salem wanted to get rid of.
But I'm saying, though, what I'm saying is that Ozpin... How am I trying to explain this? I'm sure Ozpin as Ozma, before the light of God came to him, right? The light of God. The God of light came to him, didn't want to die. And so I'm saying I don't think it's selfish. She felt the injustice by somebody good having their life cut short. So it wasn't just selfish for her. It's not like, you know, Ozpin killed himself and wanted to die and she wanted to bring him back for her own selfish nature, her own selfish reasons, right? I think that maybe it was arrogant to try and control the gods. Definitely arrogant. But I don't think it's selfish.
I think it's natural to be selfish. You say selfish like it's a bad thing. I think it's natural to be selfish.
But I don't think it was even a selfish action. I don't think it was selfless either, but I think it's somewhere in the middle. Yeah, she was doing it for herself, but she was also doing it for him.
But he didn't want it.
But you don't know if he didn't want it then.
He said.
You only know he didn't want it later.
Does he have after you die, does he have a construct of time?
I don't know.
Because he wasn't like, oh, it's been so long, I haven't seen Salem, I would love to see her. He's like, no, I'll just wait for her. Like, he barely...
I don't know. But I'm saying that, obviously, when the light god comes to him and says, hey, you have to fix the world, obviously he's like, well, there's nothing in that world for me anymore.
I am a lot more... I'm a lot more in the favor of the gods. I think they were quite... But the thing is, you know what they said to her?
The thing is, the gods are stupid and petty, and then they're like, oh, you're arrogant, as if the dark god and the light god aren't also arrogant. You know what I mean? They're a bit hypocritical.
They're also gods.
I don't think they're gods.
They are gods.
They're
not... You know how you know they're gods?
How?
Because they're called the God of Light and Darkness.
No, I know they're gods for Remnant, but I'm saying that...
Also...
They said that, oh, this world was a fun little experiment. I don't know if they're necessarily... They're gods in the sense of the world that they're all powerful and possibly all-knowing and whatever, but I feel like...
They might have been dickish.
Why were they... If they were all-knowing, why didn't they try to stop Salem from, like, turning, like, everybody in humanity against them? Like, why didn't they do anything? Like, it seems like they're somewhat bound to that area.
Listen, the arguments that you make against these dogs are the arguments you can make about literally any god.
I know, but here's what I'm saying. I'm not saying I'm not bringing back the theory that they're aliens.
Oh,
but do you remember the Star Trek episode where it's, like, the Greek gods, like, they need love and attention to get their power, and, like, they're aliens, but they're still gods. They're just another life form. I feel like that's what they are, because they just said, oh, this was a fun little experiment, off to go fuck up another planet, you know what I mean? So it's a little different.
Here's what I imagine it. The gods are like parents, and the kids are like Salem, who's just like, I want Smarties for dinner, and then the gods like, you can't have Smarties for dinner. No, that's not the same thing, though! Because we have a cycle of life.
She lost the person that she was in love with.
I understand that you like Salem's, but if everyone coming to me asking... Listen, right? Listen, I've had people I love die on me. You have too. Everyone experiences
But the gods wouldn't experience grief, so they don't even understand!
But everybody would experience that.
Everybody in the world.
Human
but I'm
being,
saying the gods don't understand because they don't die! How do they understand?
Was like, keep me back! Bring him back, and then you would have an abundance of life. You would have too many humans and it would crunch.
I know what you're saying, Hunter, and I feel what you're saying, and I do believe that there is a natural balance to the world. But I'm also saying that you can't tell a grieving woman that is like in love with like the person that was the love of her life, like, oh, it's just a natural order of how the world works. Life isn't fair. Fuck you. Like, no, he had to be a little more sensitive.
Because
he could have been a little more sensitive.
You could be a little more sensitive, sure.
The gods are assholes.
But
that's what I'm saying.
When your son once comes up to you, it's like, I want Smarties for dinner, you have to be like, no, it's not good for you.
The gods created this problem. Like, oh yeah, we should sentence this poor woman to an eternity of suffering. Do you know how long an eternity is, Hunter?
But it wasn't an eternity. It says, for as long until you appreciate the whatever of life, until you appreciate the cycle of life. So it could be like the Beauty and the Beast.
No,
where,
exactly.
They say that. You don't see it because that's not what she does.
The Beast only lives for 20 years, and then he dies if he dies. But what if she never learned her lesson? Then it would be eternity.
Yes, but she has an eternity to learn her lesson.
But how is she supposed to learn her lesson if you, like... I don't understand how she was supposed to learn her lesson from that, though.
Maybe no, because if you live forever, you get to see people live, grow old, and die. So maybe you get to view the cycle if you go for a very long time.
I think they should have taught her a lesson, but I don't think that.
I think that's.
I don't think that what they chose. I think it's a good lesson. I don't think that the way they chose to execute it was appropriate.
I think because if you live forever, you get to see how like the life.
But that doesn't matter.
Yes, because maybe then she would realize it. Obviously, she didn't. So they did a bit of a bad job.
I wouldn't. I don't think
I
would.
Listen, they fucked up. Obviously,
I'm saying they fucked up. Yes, and so
also they fucked up, but so did Salem.
Like, everyone fucked up. That's what I'm saying. It's not.
No, you're not. You're saying the gods fucked up.
No, I'm saying that it's not.
The gods could have been like sat you down again and be like, then that you will until you learn this. But maybe it was the thing she had to go and view the world change.
I'm saying that
and learn her lesson.
There are parts of this that are Salem's fault. There are parts of this that are Ozpin's fault. There are parts of it that are the gods' fault. But the gods are gods, and so they should have been a bit more responsible than any mortal being. And so I'm saying, like, that she's... I don't know.
Salem... Anyways,
I'm saying that how they tried to teach her a lesson isn't going to help, because it would only fester more anger and more hatred and more resentment.
That's what happened.
And so I'm saying that's not the good
Maybe
way
they
to
should have done it better, but I still liked what they
I think the way that they could have...
I enjoy it more now.
I think the way that they could have done it better was to... Instead, I don't know how to explain this properly, but instead of making...
Sat her down again and been like, hey...
Not to sit her down necessarily, but, like... I don't want to say give her somebody in her life again, but to... I don't know how to explain
demand
this.
A lot from guys. Here's the thing. We had very different experience of Catholic school. Catholic school was like, God's a dick, deal with it.
I'm saying that... Not that they should have given her somebody, like... To love again, but I feel like...
she could find a person to love again.
I feel like that maybe they should have encouraged her that, I guess, like, there, you know, we have, like, not we have a plan, but sort of like, hey, there's a reason that you're alive, and he's, like, think of what you would have wanted him to do. You'll live for eternity, but you should live, or not live for eternity. You will live until you will learn your lesson, but... The way that you will learn your lesson is by fulfilling what Ozma would have wanted you to do if he was here, right? Because that would have made her have something to live for, right?
But do you think she's...
If you have nothing to live for and you want to die...
she's an angry person, and that regardless she would have been, fuck you guys.
I don't think so, because I think that...
I don't know, because I think a reasonable person would come to the same conclusions we had, just with until you learn your lesson. She was just mad, and that's what happened.
I think that it's sort of an Eliza situation, like from Hamilton. Like, Hamilton dies, and then Eliza has to carry on his legacy. Like, if they maybe had encouraged her to do something like that, it would have turned out differently.
But Eliza, no one sat Eliza down and was like, hey, you have to carry... Eliza learned that for yourself.
Well, Eliza decided to do that, but I'm saying that maybe they should have tried to...
I think it's ultimately still Salem's fault.
What do you mean? Her fault for what?
For not, like, learning her lesson. For not, like, looking deeper. She just got angry and she went with her anger.
But I don't understand how you would learn a lesson from that.
Why is it that both of us learned that lesson, but Salem didn't?
What do you mean? I haven't learned any lesson yet. I can still fuck with some gods.
Both of us... Okay, well, you're Salem, right? I'm Ozpin, you're Salem.
I'm not saying that.
You would be Salem. This is why you can't be the proper arbiter of this, because you are too Salem-like.
I'm saying that, I guess, like, I don't want to say... Functionally, I don't think that the lesson does what it's supposed to, because all it does is isolate her. All it does is make her angry and resent.
There were still more people. She could have met more people.
But it isolates her in a different way, like how Ozpin is sort of above everybody as he reincarnates and has to watch all the people he loved die over and over again. Like, that's why Ozpin says that he's cursed, right? Yeah. It's because we've talked about this in other videos. Ozpin may have become desensitized to life and death.
Also,
right? Wouldn't that just happen with Salem? She wouldn't learn the value in life and death. She would just be desensitized and seeing people die a lot.
Also went through that. Ozpin had his drinking stage, but then he also had a family again. So if Ozpin can do it, can't Salem?
I mean, I don't know, because that world is different, because that world is without magic and without the gods, so there's really nothing to do but move forward. But she was like, hey, the gods are still here, maybe I can, like, go and fuck with them, you know what I mean? It's a different world back then, is what I'm arguing. She learned a different lesson. I don't think she learned...
She went a different
Here's what they say, is that she did learn a lesson. She learned that she could turn the gods against each other, because she watched them see their petty fight. And that's the other thing, okay? If the gods had stood united, she would have never thought to turn them against each other, right?
I mean, yeah, like, but that's the thing. She just went a different route, and she didn't go the route.
I know, and I'm saying that the gods are petty and they're stupid.
They're a little petty.
And
they didn't plan it out
they give
perfectly.
terrible advice.
They give good advice.
And do bad life lessons. I mean,
they could give good life. They gave good life lesson to us.
I don't think telling a grieving woman, well, that's just the natural order of things, is the way to do the thing.
Listen, right?
I know that's the truth, but I'm saying that that's not the way to comfort your soul. That's not the way to make her, to help her.
Sometimes you gotta get tough love. Anyways, I think we need to move on because it's 25 minutes and we haven't even gotten to the world history's worst divorce.
I just don't think this is the way to do it. I just don't.
To disagree.
Whatever.
And you're Salem and I's pause.
No, it's not like that. I'm not saying that Salem never did anything wrong. I'm just saying that the gods, I don't feel, have the emotional capacity to deal with this, like, poor grieving woman, because they'll never have to cry about anything. Like, they just live forever, they can make more or destroy or do whatever the fuck they want. So, they don't have the capacity for human emotions. They don't understand how somebody like Salem would feel. How could they ever understand that?
But did he? Because the God of Light was like, hey, I can come back to see if this is okay.
What do you mean? That humanity's okay?
Yeah,
like,
so,
later?
like, just bring them together, and then I can come back, and this is...
And see if humanity is
deserving. But what if he still
deserving?
cared? Like, I still want this to work. It's kind of like if you had, like, a drug addict boyfriend, and then you come back to, it's like, listen, I'll come back, but you need to get clean.
I get
and
that.
So he's waiting for
But I'm saying that I'm saying that I think that if you're a god, you don't have the same capacity as a mortal does for certain emotions, because I feel like what motivates us as humans is that we can die. If that makes sense. Or not that's the only thing that can motivate us, but the thing that sort of, is different about us compared to, like, say, like, immortal beings is that we can die. Like, there is consequence for our actions. Like, there is death. Like, the gods have no consequences for their actions. They just blow everybody else up if they're not happy, and that's exactly what happens. So, I guess leading into that...
A lot of gods have done that when I think about it, like Jonah and...
Leading into that, what happens is Salem goes to people. Like, she goes and, like, is like, hey, like, I'm immortal because of the gods. And then she says something too interesting. First, she lets any soldier try to cut her down, and she tells them that they no longer have to watch their loved ones suffer and die just like hers.
Also,
basically just like hers did.
She tried to kill herself.
Well,
that was in a children's cartoon. I was terrified.
They're not on YouTube anymore.
That was the first time where I was like, oh, fuck. And so, that would be a crazy party trick. Like, hey, take that, like fondue skewer and get me in the eye. Like,
here's what I think, though. I feel like the reason why she says that to people is because she's still in pain. Like, hey, like, we'll never have to... It's a little bit of a manipulation tactic, but hey, we'll never have to watch the people we love suffer again if we just rise up against the gods, you know what I mean? And so I feel like that's, that's a result of her pain, I feel. You know what I mean? And she's also manipulating people.
No, she's motivated by pain.
Yeah, she's motivated by pain. She's feeling deep pain, I think. And so, again, you can really see, like Salem I don't think has ever been, I'm evil. It's that it all comes from a place of pain.
I'm so fucked up, I need to find something to I need to figure this shit out.
I also really like the world building in this episode with Mistral and Vale and Vacuo, but Atlas's king wasn't there. I guess because this continent
there was 4, actually. There was 4.
No, there was 3.
No, you only see 3 in the thing, but when she's on the ground, there looks like there's 4 leaders, because there's, like, this weird mustachio guy. Maybe it was just a rando, but it looked like he was important, too.
I don't know.
Black-haired mustachio guy.
But it looked like she only went in the flashback, though, to Mistral Vacuo.
Yeah, no, in the flashback. But when she shows up with the army, it looked like
But why wouldn't they show the Atlas one?
I don't know. They ran out of time.
I don't know. Anyway, that
Wouldn't it be the first time?
But I really like the world. Like, the guy from Vacuo looks like a Dothraki from Game of Thrones. Right?
He had, like, a cross tattooed on his head.
And all of that stuff. The Mistral lady, she looked great. Vale King just looks like a standard English king, I guess.
He like big belly. He looked like Baratheon, like to bring up Game of Thrones twice.
Salem did learn from her eternal curse. She learned that the hearts of men are easily swayed. I said punishment is garbage. Nobody learns anything this way. Basically, this is mostly the gods' fault. Some of Salem's fault, but also Ozpin has some blame and some regret.
I disagree. I think it's mostly Salem's part, but we already went through that. Moving forward. Now,
the gods went nuclear, though, so how is that not their fault?
Oh, the murder part?
No, everything. Like, this is all the gods doing. They wipe out humanity just because they had a little fight. You know what I mean? Like, the Dark God wipes out everyone. No, but that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying, Hunter, is that this, like, the state that we're in now is mostly the God's fault. They got triggered, and then they just destroyed everything. Maybe.
The God of Destruction was the one who slapped it. The God of Light actually brings it back from the
Well, yeah, he tried.
Listen, you can't blame Satan for doing Satan.
I guess gonna Satan. But I'm just saying that, like, he did most of the things that led to... And what if he said, no, I won't bring Ozpin back? Then she would just, like, go back home and be sad. But, like, this is all kind of his fault, too.
Who?
The God of Darkness, I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, no, it is the God of Darkness.
Yeah, so, God of Darkness, God of Light, Salem, Ozpin is, like, my current ranking. And maybe Salem and the God of Light is interchangeable on that ranking.
I
don't think it's... Like, I think that the Dark God got out of control.
Goddamn lesson and not pick the fight with God, you idiot. Moving forward.
Man literally born from dust. So basically we know that the humans will come back again. But then everybody's gone. So then she's lonely and isolated while she waits for humanity to grow back again. So again, that's not good for her punishment.
Well, yeah, but now they don't give a shit about the punishment. Now they're like, you clearly did not learn your lesson, and they gave up. They pieced out.
But then they just made it worse by making her isolated and having no one on Earth, and she just walks around on Earth lonely.
Well, yeah, they fucked up
and then she jumps into the pool, right? And so that's like, again, that's why I'm saying this is mostly their fault, because they, first of all, they destroy humanity.
I'm not a fan of the gods the second time around. I'm not a fan of the Dark God the second time around. The first time around, yeah, that's fair.
But I'm saying as an overall idea.
Yeah, but then also, like
accumulative points.
Light God did give him an out later on.
A beautiful experiment, he says, so that's a big yikes. So yeah, Salem jumped into the cesspool and all of that stuff. But, like...
She comes out white.
Yeah. Whiter, I guess. But I feel like all the gods did was leave her alone, and her being alone caused all these problems in the first place. So it's not good. Like, it's not good.
I understand that you desperately want to be in the favor of Salem. I agree.
I'm in some of Salem's favor. There are things later that I have a problem with, but I'm saying in terms of now, she's just a grieving young woman, and so this isn't handled correctly at all, like, remotely. And, like, what if the gods brought people back from the dead before, and then they just said no to her? I guess they would have never done it, right? But it's like, apparently the gods can perform miracles, so what else had they been doing at the temple? Like, obviously they don't tell everybody no, if she thought to go there. So that's my question. Is, like, what other miracles did the gods perform for other people that would have maybe arguably disrupt the balance, but this was just, like, too much balance disrupting? Does that make sense?
Come again?
Like, what other miracles were the gods performing at the temple to make her think to go there? So obviously they had some, like, leniency in terms of what they would do to help people.
This is why I think it works so well as, like, a biblical reference.
What do you mean? Well, God performs miracles all the time, but only when he fucking feels like it, I guess. Like, but you know what I'm saying?
But, like, this is kind of like a Noah situation.
Where they just wipe out the fucking
Earth,
Earth,
he wipes out the Earth, but then he's like, but then the sort of covenant is, like, when he gives Ozpin these gifts.
I won't wipe out the Earth
Like, he's like, listen, I won't do this, I'll come back and I'll judge you again. Basically what the fucking rapture is in the Bible.
Also, they break the moon as they fuck off, so.
Everyone was like, it's the Silver Eyes, it's Ozpin, it's Salem Nabi. He just, like, walked through, just... He was like, oh shit, the moon was in my way.
Here's my other thing. So now we're moving on past the gods. The gods are gone.
It's very biblical, and it's the first time in my life that I've cared about it.
The gods are gone, so they can fuck off, right? Mm-hmm. It says that after Salem jumps into the pool, she has the desire for pure destruction. But I think that she's not pure evil, and that's different. Like, we all have desires, right? She may have came out there and desired pure destruction, but that could have been suppressed, because obviously later, like, she loves Ozma, she has children, right? Yeah. So obviously she has other desires, she's capable of love, and so I don't think that she's evil.
Two different people now, because Salem now, like, in modern RWBY, wants to destroy everything.
Well, we'll talk about that later.
But Salem in the past, like, she
and
wants
so people
love,
are like,
and she wants happiness with her husband, and so I think that's why her relationship with her husband was like what was tethering her.
Yeah, and so I want to talk about that like after, I guess, but like in a separate video. But people are like, oh, as soon as Salem went into the cesspool, she was far gone. But no, like she was in love. She was happy. She had children, and she says that she wants to make a paradise. And yes, she does get into the playing God situation a little bit, but she still, like, she still has love, and she still, I don't think she's pure evil then. And a lot of people are arguing, like, as soon as she was in the cesspool, like, it was gone. Like, no, I feel like that she doesn't, I feel like with any desire, it just grows over time sort of thing instead. What do you want? We are busy.
Do you want a hot dog?
No, I don't want a hot dog, Mom.
Okay, just asking.
As big a deal as you ever think you will be, your mother will still walk in on your videos.
I literally told her last night that I wasn't answering her because I was recording, and so if I don't answer you back, I'm busy, I can't talk to you. Because she's always like, oh, if there was ever a fire, you wouldn't be able to hear me. Like, no, I can hear you, I'm ignoring you, but maybe I'll have a hot dog after. Anyway!
Are you recording again?
We're still recording.
Oh.
We still rolled, I don't care.
Oh, wow. You're just keeping that in?
Yeah.
You want to know why you're not as big as you thought you were?
Why?
It's because you'll never edit a video.
No.
Moving forward.
I thought it was funny, so I'll keep it. Anyway.
Of course you did.
So, I'm saying that, like, I don't think, like, when people were saying, oh, like, as soon as she falls into the cesspool, she's too far gone. I don't think that's true. Like, I just don't think. I just disagree. And people can argue whatever they want. Functionally, I don't disagree, because if she was just about pure destruction, she wouldn't want love and have a family and all that stuff. Yeah. Desires can be suppressed, which I feel is the important thing, is that if Ozpin and her had compromised better, which we'll get to, that desire could have been suppressed. She could have suppressed that desire, and maybe things wouldn't necessarily turn out as bad as before.
Because she clearly was, like, lying, too. Because she didn't tell everything about her past to Ozpin when they met again.
I mean, she didn't tell them how exactly the gods destroyed the world.
Obviously that exists, but she's not telling Ozpin.
Yeah. I mean, she says that the gods destroyed the world, which is true, but she didn't tell them exactly what happened, right? But Ozpin doesn't tell her exactly what happened either, and that's something I'm gonna argue right now is, what if they had just talked it out at the beginning? Like, I feel like before lying has caused all of Ozpin's problems. Like, what if they were just upfront and clean with each other? Like, she didn't want to do it because she thought that he would resent her, so I understand that. But what if Ozpin told the truth first? Then she would come out with the truth, and they would have been like, okay, so, like, we both know the truth about each other now, we can make something out of it.
That's also kind of, I don't know why I'm bringing up the Bible references, but that's also biblical, because immediately after, like, the Noah occurred, everyone just went back to, like, killing and butchering each other again.
Yep.
So it's basically the same thing. Like, even though they should have learned their fucking lesson, they're still human. They're still,
we talked about the gods and the relics already. Humanity will be judged. I think maybe then Salem wants all the relics because, it may be a case of to have humanity judged, and then she knows humanity doesn't live up to the task of the world would be destroyed, and they say, as long as you walk this earth. But if there's no earth, then she can die and, like, rest in peace and everything. And so maybe it's sort of a situation like Ozpin, like she's just been alive for so long. Or maybe she wants them all back so she can have a talking to with the gods, because she wants to try, now that she's more powerful, she wants to try to, like, murder them, I guess. I don't know.
So that was another gut punch in the episode where they meet, and it's just like, oh man, I know this is not gonna go well, but I'm still, so cute. My heart is still breaking. Just watching them. So
Ozpin has to remake humanity. We talked about that, but I'm saying both of them could have made humanity better together again. And so I'm gonna do a separate video on that. But people are like, Salem would have never compromised and all of this stuff. No, y'all are full of shit. Like, she loves her children. She has a family, and yeah, she does. You know, later she's like, oh, you know, we can replace humans with magic users.
Later she might kill her children. So who knows?
They both killed their children by fighting. the castle fell down, and I guess their children died, so...
But also, like, who started the fight?
Ozpin.
I guess that's true.
He tried to take their children in the middle of the night.
Yeah, but it's also, like, then who started using powerful magic that could have knocked down the castle and killed everybody?
They both fight each other.
Salem struck first.
Well, she struck first,
well,
but
the point is...
The first point of war is stealing your children! Like, that was the first...
The point is that they need to sit each other down and have a good conversation.
I'm saying that he didn't have to take the children away, right? First of all.
Yeah,
what they could have done...
They both should have. They both had a million times,
but
they didn't.
Right?
Because their fault.
And so, I'm going to talk about that later, but people are like, well, Salem would have never compromised. She wants pure destruction. But she says that she wanted to make a world a paradise for people. She says all this stuff, and obviously, like, look at her face when her child knows, like, how to do magic. Like, she obviously loves them, right? And so I feel like that people are looking at this very shallowly, and they look at the scene where she goes into this cesspool, and she's like, oh, she's pure evil now. Like, no, that's not... personally what I think's happening, because nothing lines up with her being pure evil afterwards. And she does mention, like, hey, we could be gods of this world, which is a little Death Note-y, I guess, if you want to call it that. And, like, all of that stuff. And she does mention, like, hey, we can take away humans and then make our own magic breeding children so things can go back to the way that things were. But I feel
Which is pretty destruction.
Which is destruction-y.
It's genocide-y.
But I feel like that Ozpin could have been like, hey, no, like, maybe we shouldn't do that. Like, what we can do instead is, like, have our children, like, maybe rule all of these lands because they have magic, and we can bring people together. We can unify them, because that's what she seems to want to do, is that she says, hey, like, the people need someone to guide them, to unify them. I'm just saying that they could have compromised. It's not so cut and dry of, like, nope, Salem would have never done anything, like, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't seem like Ozpin even tries. Like, it doesn't seem like he tries to convince her.
She does have a bit of a genocide-y bone in her body.
Yeah, but I think we all have a genocide-y bone in our body.
I think the fact that you think everyone has a genocide-y bone in their body means that you have a genocide-y bone in your body.
Anyway, the light god saying that the old Salem is gone, I feel, is a big manipulation on the part of the god, the god of light. I think that's not true.
What?
The god of light says the old Salem is gone, but that's just not true. Like, I mean, part of her is gone, but part of her is still there, and she still loves them, and, like, loves her children and all that stuff.
Maybe this is just another message. Maybe it's just another...
I think that, so when he said that, like, I think when the god of light said that, the god of light was sort of trying to manipulate Ozpin.
She certainly has gone through some changes.
Yeah.
Because think about the last time...
But she doesn't have the veins and the grim stuff yet. She's just white. And so that's what makes me think, oh, she wasn't pure destruction, she wasn't pure grim yet. Now, obviously, things have escalated to a point of no return. But I'm saying back then, they could have done something. And I'd like to do a separate video on all that, because I feel like it's super important to kind of go over. And both of them hide things from each other. And if they had just started out telling each other the truth, Salem wouldn't have been so tilted as she got later, right? And, like, they could have trusted each other, they could have unified humanity, and I get that her idea of being God isn't right, but she also sort of had the right idea of, hey, we can make this a paradise for people, we can help unify these people and get them to stop fighting with each other. Like, that's all fine. Like, I think those are all fine ideas. It's just, they could have, by combining both of their rights and wrongs together, they could have made it right.
She also wanted to unify through war. Like, she was looking at
she
that
was
crystal
like,
ball,
we
looking at war.
We destroy anybody that doesn't agree with us, which, like, is not good, right? But I feel like Ozpin was too complicit. Like, I feel like he didn't try to sit down and compromise. He just let things happen,
that is
right?
the nature of it.
And so I feel like that even though, like, yes, Salem is totally in the wrong for what she was doing there, also, Ozpin didn't do anything. And I think that she would have been willing to compromise because this is, like, the love of her life. And so if Ozpin had an idea on how they could make this better, well, you know, maybe Salem still rules with an iron fist, but they're not exactly all genocide-y, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, they could have came to a solution together. And that's why I'm saying that she's not pure destruction, because she has they obviously have children. She wanted to make things. Like, whether that was intentional or not.
I freaked out, because I thought 4 little children, I'm like, are they dead? Are those the 4 maidens?
I don't think they're the 4 maidens, because then he turns into the old man, right, in that flashback, and then he gets the maiden
but then
powers.
Again, think about it, like, because...
I think it's just sort of, they like 4s in this show. Like, 4 kingdoms, 4 children, whatever.
4 relics, but
and look how happy she is with her
but
children.
Also,
She's not a monster.
That's another
then.
ancient story that wasn't totally true. The same way that the tale of the ancient brothers wasn't totally true.
So her idea of replacing all the humans with her children is like obviously wrong. But I think that she could have also been convinced out of that, and Ozpin didn't even try. He just tried to run away with the kids. And they both murdered their children, which is pretty important. Like, both of them caused the murder of their children.
Resulted in the possible death of the children.
Ozpin has another family with the IT dude, and that guy has kids, but Salem could never have that, right?
He goes through levels, like, he goes through, like, drunking, and then he comes out, and, like, IT...
And he learns how to live with the soul of, like, the people that had been paired with him. But I'm saying that Salem never got that opportunity. Salem couldn't be reborn and had a family again, and so I feel like she's suffering a lot more than Ozpin had.
I don't know, she might have been able to have a family with someone.
With somebody else?
Yeah, but then they would have died, so... I mean, they would have also died, so...
Well, I'm saying, like, after what happened to Ozpin, like, obviously somewhere in between she turned, like, grim and whatever, so... I'm saying that Ozpin, like, he gets, even though he helped murder their children, I guess, he gets to have children again, she doesn't, like, that's pretty sad and dark and just not...
Yeah, she never did. He did, yeah.
I know, and so Ozpin gets the happy life as he lives through other people's lives. She never gets that happiness.
Yeah, but she could have, but she didn't.
She could have maybe, while the gods were saying, hey, don't bring back Ozma, then maybe she could have moved on, but I'm saying in terms of after the gods left, she could never, like, she wouldn't have that happiness, I guess.
I mean, maybe if she really tried, but it was incredibly unlikely.
Well... If she really thought that Ozma was the love of her life, why would she try to find happiness with anyone else?
Well, so did Ozma felt the same way. And
yeah, but then he got shoved into other relationships, so that wasn't really his choice.
But he wasn't shoved.
Yeah, he was shoved into IT guy. What if IT guy was already married and had kids? Then you gotta love your wife. You know what I'm saying?
But he was shoved in at very young people, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. He was shoved in at very young people. It's entirely possible. Because, like, think about it. I guess maybe...
What, IT guy? Yeah, IT guy was grown. IT guy had children when he got shoved into him. He also got shoved into an old man, so they don't start up young and then grow old, I don't think.
Yeah, but maybe, like...
It's just like minds.
But maybe he was shoved into, like, him when he was younger, and then he grew up. We never see this.
We never see... I'm saying though, Hunter, I don't think it's like that. Because... I don't know,
I think it's younger.
Because it's just like-minded. It's somebody like-minded. It doesn't have to be somebody younger.
You don't know for sure, but it's also like he just pops into that other guy.
Yeah, he just pops into IT. And remember, we see
IT guy, the second guy.
But we see all his past lives, right? And so if all of them started out young and grew old, I'm sure they would have shown that. But I'm pretty sure he just started as old man who gave the maidens their powers. Then he just popped into everybody else. So I'm saying that... I understand what you're saying. Like, maybe he went into somebody's body and then had a family. But I'm saying I'm pretty sure that dude already had a family and Ozpin just popped in.
Maybe.
But I'm sure over the course of 1,000 years, Ozpin's been in at least someone who's had a family already, right?
But
and so that's what I'm saying. He gets second and third chances to have happiness and all that,
probably could also have had afterwards, but then again,
But what happens to her? We don't know. Because it seems like she's now, like, stuck in her tower, like, in the land of darkness or wherever the fuck.
Plotting the destruction. Maybe, I don't know if she found herself in
But I'm saying that, like... While Ozpin got to die right there, and he had another man, it seems like Salem is somehow stuck in the tower.
Ozpin was also drinking and had, like, fucked up...
He had some fucked up lives, but then he gets other ones where he gets to be happy. That's why I'm saying that's so different from what Salem experienced.
Maybe he didn't jump into happiness, because think about it.
I don't think he jumped into happiness. I think that he had lots of problems
found happiness, but she did not.
Before, but I'm saying after...
But even after, she could have. I don't know, she could just the same way that Ozpin did. She could have, like, gone into the...
She had to kill her lover... All of her children died. Like, I'm sure she wasn't in the mood.
Same thing happened to Ozpin.
Yeah, but he gets to then go and, like, have families with random people he shoved into.
But she could also go and find people that she wasn't shoved into.
But what if she couldn't after that? Like, what if she's trapped in the tower? Because, right, her...
Well, she wasn't trapped in the tower.
But does she stay there by choice? Like, we don't
know, but it seems unlikely because they never said, and now she's stuck. Like, that was never stated, and there's no magic, so she could totally move around and meet...
But I'm wondering about that. I'm wondering if she is still trapped in the tower again, or if she's just staying there of her own will.
I think she's staying there of her own will.
I wonder if
and it's her own will that's doing this.
I wonder if that was, like, Ozpin's maybe final curse on her to keep her in the tower. Because why would she just stay in her.
Ozpin never cursed her.
I know he never cursed her, but I'm saying, like, what if with, like, his final breath, he used the last bit of magic to keep Salem condemned in the tower? Like, we still don't know. Why is she just sitting there, then? Because a lot of people think, oh, she would be trapped in the tower, because why wouldn't she, like, move around and go do shit? Like, she's just in there all the time.
Maybe, I don't know.
I feel like there's still more that we don't know.
There is more that we don't know, but I don't think that's a possibility. I think
something's keeping her there. It may not necessarily be a magical trapment, but it may be sort of trapped in her own mind. Also, does that make sense? Like, that was her home with her family, with her children. Like, it's maybe a mental
But that home doesn't look like the place she is.
She could have rebuilt it.
In a different place? Because that doesn't look like
or maybe she just grimified all the area around her.
Maybe,
but it seems like she went to the quagmire or whatever, where all the Grimm were being born out of those holes, and she built a castle there or something.
So I
wonder if she just isolated herself.
It could be a lot of things. I don't know. I think this is about.
But yeah, she seems to like walk back over to the realm of darkness where all the Grimm pop out.
The story is about how people have choices to make their world better, but they choose against it because of their human flaws, and bad things happen.
Rip.
That's what I think its overarching theme
So to kind of get into the last part.
Oh my god, the final gut punch. Sweet Jesus.
So Ozpin asks Jin, like, hey.
Their kids are dead.
And also, when Mustache Guy really looks like the Wizard of Oz. Like, Mustache Guy, pinstripe suit, who's asking the questions of Jin. So Jin says that he can't destroy Salem.
That's the end of the episode. Yeah. Gut punch. Like, I was like, fuck.
And I think that's the whole point, is that he can't kill Salem. They were supposed to come to some sort of compromise.
Yes.
Or something. And I get that, like, you know, her having feelings of pure destruction are something that grew over time. Like, she wasn't like that with the kids. And then, like, she obviously grimified herself with the veins in her arms and all that. Like, I feel like at the beginning, if her and Ozpin just came to a compromise and sorted stuff out, things wouldn't have gotten that bad, but it's too late. And so I wonder if those are her regrets now. And so I guess now, like, that's basically the entire episode. And so what I feel like is maybe now Salem's too far gone.
This is almost an hour long.
I feel like now maybe Salem's too far gone, but I don't think she was before. And so I think that maybe Ozpin's biggest regret in his life
is that
he didn't try and he wasn't honest and all of that sort of stuff.
So maybe that's when he says, like, when I've made more mistakes than any man, woman, and child.
And I think, I honestly, I think that Salem would have budged if he made the attempt.
I used to be iffy about Ozpin, but now I think Ozpin is this amazing,
This was a good way to make everyone feel bad for everyone, because we were expecting this week, like, is Ozpin evil? Did he do something shitty?
He's not a
right?
He's not a dick.
Like, everybody's
he's just a human.
Everybody's
who
just
made
really
mistakes
sympathetic
that
now,
had
right?
catastrophic consequences, and a mistake that I probably would make, and you definitely would make. Let's be real.
Like,
we went
into this expecting somebody to be evil, and no, nobody's evil. Except I still feel like the gods are terrible.
I think there's a lot of biblical parallels, which I always found very interesting.
All the biblical gods are bad too, so that doesn't really change anything.
God makes some dick moves, but then again, I don't know, but I feel like this makes me view those stories as also more narrative too, like imagining God as this very flawed person, just as you imagine the God of Light as this flawed person.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think that the gods of light are not gods, because gods are supposed to be omnipotent.
Yes.
Omni-powerful and omni-benevolent. So they're supposed to be all good, all-knowing, and all-powerful. These gods aren't all good, so they're disqualified from being gods.
But neither are any gods, by that argument.
Well, that's why people argue that no god exists, because a god would have to be all good, and there is none.
I like that they go for that route. I like that they themselves are flawed, but they're still like, listen, you fucking hurt us. We had a relationship. You hurt me.
Humanity, we had a relationship.
It was like that when you think about it.
Well, that's basically the same thing with Noah and all that.
That was the same thing, because with Abraham, it's like, you will be our chosen people, but, like, do these things, and then they stop doing the things, and so then fucking water everywhere. So, and then it's like, listen, you will be flawed.
I just feel like the gods are awful. Like, they're not awful, but they're also a little awful.
I still like them. God of Darkness, he's a dick, but then again, Satan's gonna Satan, right?
I think all of them are...
I think
the gods have flaws, which is not supposed to be a sentence that goes together. No, like, the gods aren't supposed to be flawed, because they're supposed to be gods.
I think the gods made the humans, and the humans are flawed, and they are flawed because they have to deal with the humans.
Maybe. So the humans are the ones that made the gods flawed.
I think that's how
That's kind of interesting, Hunter. Okay. So
now, do you want to do the biblical video?
No.
Okay. Well,
I still don't want to do the biblical video. I guess so. Final thoughts. I don't really know what videos we're gonna make this week.
I love this episode.
I would like to make
my favorite
a video about like, you know, Salem and Ozpin should have just compromised more. She's not pure evil. All that stuff.
Compromise.
I would also like to make a video on, I guess, I don't want to say disappointments, but I think that people were gonna be disappointed in the origin of the moon just because breaking. Because everybody was like, oh, it was Silverized, it was this, it was that.
Fuck the moon.
I feel like people...
That is like if someone built you a giant birthday cake with massive arches and such intrinsic detail that your mind, it bends and folds into itself, your pretension of reality, when you view this amazing cake that this person met you, but then you find a single one of your own hairs on the cake and you're like, well, now it's fucking ruined. Fuck you, man, if you didn't like the moon.
What I'm saying is that I feel like I want to do a video on that because people are going to have that reaction. Man. And so I want to discuss that reaction. I'm not saying I feel that way, because I'm definitely not disappointed in the episode.
Maybe people looked... I just thought it was a cute little anime aesthetic thing.
I feel like people are going to bitch about it, and I feel like we should just... The video for that would be how people build up their expectations. Like that,
or how people thought something that was just kind of small in the background would be super cool, but it really was always just going to be a background.
Remember, the moon, Weiss says in the manga, is supposed to represent the folly of man, and it is because
then that's really cool. Then that's the
so I'd like to do a video about the moon, but I'd also like to do a video about the expectations.
Remember
and
how you thought that the moon was like where the Grimm came from?
No, that there was a baby Grimm inside of the moon. That was a crack theory that I had. There could still be. It could still be. There could still be a Grimm in there. We don't know.
Look at them. Look at the camera and say.
There could still be a Grimm in there.
Okay.
I never said
So is this your favorite episode of RWBY, or is this your favorite?
It's not my favorite episode.
This is my favorite. What would be your favorite episode?
I don't know.
This was my favorite episode. I think also the Raven fight. The Raven fight.
I don't have a favorite episode, guys.
Yeah, when I think about it, I haven't had many.
This is, I think, this is one of the best episodes to deliver exposition.
Yes. This is
writing-wise, this is a very good episode.
Right, it is an excellent episode. I'm so very happy about everything.
And so...
Aren't you just glad you're born? Think of most of human history, they didn't have RWBY. And
I know.
Now we have
like,
RWBY.
Imagine, like, a couple weeks ago I wanted to kill myself, and now, like, we're watching...
How
could you kill yourself when RWBY and Kingdom Hearts is supposed to
You want to know what's hilarious? Because, like, the first week we did this, you were like, everything sucks, Hunter. I'm so sad. My boyfriend doesn't like me. Who isn't my boyfriend? Then you watched RWBY and you was like, hallelujah, hallelujah. And then an hour after that, you were like, oh, everything sucks.
Hunter, again. I don't feel so good.
I don't feel so good.
Can I make that meme? Before Arnold does it.
You do it.
I'm gonna do it with the Mr. Stark. I don't feel so good with humanity just fucking turning to dust.
Have like all the Infinity
Arnold, I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you and your fucking memes. Arnold hasn't even watched Infinity War, so he doesn't even deserve.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I watched it on the plane back from RTX.
Okay.
And so Arnold doesn't even deserve to make that meme. That meme is mine.
Crazy. It was like the whole room got silent. We were walking around like, yo, this fucked up, right?
So anyway, you guys should, I think, suggest videos for us to do. Because we are going to record a little bit today, but I don't think we're going to get everything done today.
Mention
Hunter.
if you want to do the biblical. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
I don't know why all of a sudden I've become the person that wants to do that type of video.
But I feel like Hunter and I are going to do a little more today, but really I kind of want to see everybody's thoughts and what everybody would like us to talk about, and then make more videos.
Just made a RWBY OC.
Did she? Can we see it? Are we going to put it right on camera? I don't think that's a RWBY OC, Hunter. That looks like a weird neon pet.
I think it was like an RWBY OC. You can't really see it. A RWBY, like an OC maker thing. It's really not much of anything. It certainly doesn't look terribly really. But then again, what can you do?
What can you do? Anyway, I'm glad that you're like initializing your girlfriend into this show and into this life.
I was told her that I was like over December when we have like time off, when I have time off.
Are you gonna make her watch it?
Yeah, probably.
But how is she making an OC if she hasn't watched it already?
Basically, we made a... Do you want me to explain a very long and strange joke, or can you just say
Go
that
ahead.
I explained the basics
Do
of
it.
RWBY?
Do it to end the video.
No, I really don't.
Why?
Because it's a very... Because basically all I just... Okay, I just texted, oh my god, RWBY is amazing. It was so sad. RWBY wrecked my soul, and she was like, Tumblr has informed me that Salem was up to some shit. And I was like, it's so sad.
Everyone's
I love
up
her.
to
I want to
some
hold her. Remember that I don't actually know what happened, and I won't tell you.
So you guys can watch.
I will, however, because I've decided that I will force you to watch it.
Okay.
And then she was like, I will consent to being shown RWBY, and I'm like, yay, consent is important with RWBY. Practice safe RWBY.
That's it. That's all we need
And
to
then
say.
it got worse from there, but
I don't
it
wanna
ends
know.
up with her looking at her OC.
I see. Okay. Practice safe RWBY, everybody. But yeah, I'd like to release this video. I'd like to see what you guys want us to make videos on, and maybe I'll call Hunter back here tomorrow. Possibly.
I'm
sorry.
seeing a movie, and I also work tomorrow, so I also have to do school stuff tomorrow.
Well,
so.
maybe early or after. I don't know, but yeah. Is your eye like twitching because you're like, excuse me, Cal, I have to do stuff? Like, no.
You better get me a very good Christmas
I will.
present.
But anyway, we will see you guys later. I hope that you guys
I'm basically
enjoyed.
a prostitute. You pay for my
You are.
services via presents.
You are.
I'm a hoe.
Anyway, bye guys.